Okay, just to give you a big update right now, the Prime Minister is rolling out the red carpet, sending big ministers to receive the world leaders as they begin to arrive. But the Prime Minister has just posted on Twitter about the big lineup of high-profile bilaterals that will populate his time as host of the G20. The Prime Minister has just said, this evening I look forward to 3 bilateral meetings at my residence. I will be meeting Mauritius Prime Minister Kumar Jugnauth, Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and US President Joe Biden. The meetings will give an opportunity to review India's bilateral relations with these nations and further strengthen developmental cooperation. So the Prime Minister putting out a brief message on his social media announcing that the 3 big bilaterals that kick off the G20 and a very busy time for the Prime Minister will take place not at Pragati Maidan but the Prime Minister's residence on 7 Lok Kalyan Marg in the national capital, where he will be hosting the Mauritius Prime Minister, the Bangladesh Prime Minister and then President Joe Biden of the United States. Obviously separately, these are bilateral meetings that will be taking place at the Prime Minister's office cum residence in central Delhi, and these will be kicking off the big flavor of the G20. Gaurav Sawant is our man on the ground, managing editor. He's the first journalist who's gained entry inside the Bharat Mandapam. He joins us live from there. Polomi is also on the inside. The only journalist who has had access to where things are inside. Gaurav, I'd like to come to you quickly first. 15 bilaterals by the Prime Minister. Mauritius, Bangladesh and the United States to kick things off this evening, Gaurav.
And Shiv, that actually sets the tone. Mauritius, Maldives and the United States of America. So, you know, it's the Prime Minister's big aim to get the developing countries move along when you talk to the developed countries. And this is where India hopes to make that big switch and be the bridge between the developing world and the developed world. That's what G20 is all about. No, not the developed world either talking shop only about their problems or forcing the developing countries to bear the burden when it comes to climate change. So what's the Prime Minister doing? He's also, and what's India doing? Talking about very important aspect in digital public infrastructure, something that's actually made a difference to lives of people. And these are not just words. The World Bank in its report has actually articulated this. What the change that would have actually taken to bring in more inclusiveness in terms of financial growth. 47 years, India's done it in 6 years through this digital public infrastructure. There's a separate mandap, there's a separate hall here that actually showcases that. Again, you spoke about the India-US bilateral, and Shiv, extremely crucial. While G20 is very important, India hopes to be the voice of the developing world, but India is also looking after our strategic interests in that bilateral with the US President Joe Biden. So he lands in India at 6:55 p.m. 7:30 he heads straight for the bilateral. And what's the big conversation there? The big conversation there is the Reaper drone, the G414 engine, again extremely important for India strategically. All of that is being taken forward. So this is India moving forward on multiple platforms simultaneously.
Very crucial bilateral between the Prime Minister and Joe Biden, the President of the United States. Remember, President Joe Biden arrives at about 7 p.m. Thereafter, he'll be going straight to the Prime Minister's residence where that bilateral will be taking place. So it's going to be an absolutely crucial late evening today on the first day of the G20 before the proceedings kick off at the Bharat Mandapam, which is the actual venue for the G20, where meetings will be taking place with the summit tomorrow. Polomi has just sent us an absolutely magnificent inside view of the Bharat Mandapam. Polomi, only journalist with access in there. Fantastic sneak preview of all the preparations. Everything's absolutely gleaming and ready. The President, the Prime Minister of the world, of the G20 are all arriving today. And everything seems to be completely ready, Polomi.
Absolutely. This has been a labor of over a year that, our top officials have put together. And today, of course, it has come to fruition where, in fact, they've opened this up for delegates and media persons to start entering. Today, of course, in a short while from now, they will be hosting the first pre-summit briefing for the media as well. And tomorrow, of course, the foreign dignitaries, the world leaders will be, in fact, descending upon this very magnificent complex which has been built by, of course, the government of India. It has some very sleek provisions for all international media. In fact, I'm inside the International Media Center right now, and it is a massive hall. If I can just request Kirpalji, my camera person, to lift his camera off the tripod so we can just give you a quick view of the International Media Center and the sort of arrangements that they've made, because there are media personnel who have arrived from across the world, in fact, to cover this very momentous occasion, the G20 Summit 2023. Of course, the flags, as you can see behind, and Kirpalji can, in fact, show you across over here. Right now, you can see this is one big hall. There are two such halls which have, in fact, been, organized for the media, which is part of the International Media Center. And you can see workstations that have been made over here. You can see journalists who are already at work, and we'll just take a tour of this very quickly with Kirpalji. And these, of course, have LAN ports, and you have your Wi-Fi. These are journalists who brought their personal laptops, but there are workstations for at least 500 with the laptops over there provided by the Government of India. So there are 1,300 workstations that have been put together over here. Many such briefing rooms as well, very interestingly named. Again, every part of it, Shiv, in fact, celebrates Indian culture. So you can see one of the conference rooms, which is called Vindhya. Then, of course, it's Nilgiri. The conference where the pre-summit briefing, in fact, will happen is called Himalaya. Aravali, you see over there as well. So there are 3 such big briefing rooms as well, one with a capacity of 100 and 2 smaller ones with a capacity of 50 each. So that is, of course, where, foreign delegates, official delegates from foreign countries and embassies can book these conference rooms if they want to hold briefings for the media. So very sleek arrangements that have been made. Fast speed internet, Wi-Fi, which is also present over here to make sure that everyone gets their copies out, gets their stories out in real time. Shiv.
Absolutely fabulous. Paulomi and Gaurav continue to stay with me because things are moving rapidly now. Everything has moved completely into top gear. Gaurav and Paulomi, among the chosen lucky few who are going to be having a ringside view of the G20 as it kicks off. This really instills me with a sense of pride that the preparations look so fabulous. This is going to be an event truly befitting India's presidency of the G20.